This is a message about what's really happening in Santa Clara County, California, a place that calls itself progressive, but has been failing its most vulnerable residents for years. Behind the image of innovation and wealth, there's deep negligence, corruption, and indifference coming from the very offices meant to protect the public. Let's start with Santa Clara County. The Office of Supportive Housing, or OSH, has become notorious for ignoring calls, hanging up on people, and failing to follow through on promised housing assistance. Staff like Harjeet, Henry, and Karen from the Here For You program repeatedly gave false information, denied responsibility, and in some cases even lied about exit procedures. When someone finally secures housing, instead of offering support, OSH often creates barriers. Danielle, a case manager, promised to apply for rental assistance once housing was found. This is not a minor oversight. This is a pattern of... But after paperwork was submitted, she refused to finish the process and never responded again. Deceptive conduct from county-funded employees who are supposed to serve the homeless population. Supervisor Cindy Chavez's office has ignored multiple complaints and follow-up requests for over a year. Supervisor Otto Lee's office gave inconsistent information and abruptly ended phone calls. Supervisor Margaret Abe Koga's District 5 office hasn't replied to emails about housing and shelter issues since March the 7th. Even though staff member John is directly responsible for those matters. County officials repeatedly promise transparency, but when real issues are raised, they go silent. That silence has consequences. It leaves people stranded without help, without communication, and without accountability. This isn't just about one department. It's about an entire local government culture that hides behind bureaucracy. When complaints are made, they get bounced between offices, from the city of San Jose under Steve Preminger's leadership, to the county level under Margaret Abe Koga and Cindy Chavez, and even to state and federal offices who say they can't get directly involved. Everyone passes the responsibility, while the problems continue. The Home Key Shelter program, which was supposed to be a safe step toward housing stability, has been plagued by unsanitary and unsafe conditions, mold, filth, and neglect in bathrooms and showers. These are not isolated incidents, these are systemic failures. People were promised assistance and humane living conditions, but what they got instead was avoidance, disrespect, and retaliation for speaking up. And this goes beyond Santa Clara County. Across California, the so-called safety net, from the civil rights enforcement process to the courts, moves at a glacial pace, often leaving people without justice for months or years. Judges have dismissed valid evidence in small claims cases, ruling as if no evidence was submitted at all. Complaints to oversight bodies like the Commission on Judicial Performance are ignored or minimized. Meanwhile, county supervisors and staff post smiling photos on social media, claiming to discuss the impacts of federal funding cuts, while in reality, they fail to manage the resources they already have. This is not about politics. It's about accountability. It's about elected officials who stopped answering their constituents, county workers who lie to avoid responsibility, and a housing system that hides its failures behind excuses. California's image as a state of compassion means nothing if its counties continue to abandon the very people they are sworn to help. The public deserves to know the truth. Santa Clara County and the state of California need to be investigated not just for inefficiency, but for negligence, deception, and abuse of public trust.